Hey guys, it's Bailey. Welcome back to the channel and thanks so much for tuning in. Today's video is going to be about Moon Mousse, which is a makeup repair product. I'm going to be reviewing it, demoing it, giving you the full lowdown in this video. I was inspired to start trying it when I started my Destroying the Eyeshadow Palette, Crushing and Mixing These Eyeshadow, whatever you want to call it, that whole series. I wanted a way to keep those frankenshadows that I had created in a neat little pressed pan, and there is the age-old technique of mixing it, crushing it up really well, mixing it all together, pouring some alcohol in it to make a paste, and then letting that dry overnight, which has worked for me. I've used it before. It's done just fine. It does, on some products, give me a little bit of hard pan, but for the most part, it gives you a functional powder product, right? However, right around that same time, I saw Moon Mousse circulating around YouTube, which is basically a magical foam that easily sets your shadow. I didn't know what was in it, so I thought maybe it'll keep them kind of, you know, fluffy and less hard pan. I figured it was worth a shot to see if it either made the whole process easier or prevented that kind of hard pan texture, so I bought it. Went to the website. They only sell a kit. I don't think you can buy these components individually, and in a kit comes in this resealable bag, which I really like because you can keep everything together, and you get the Moon Mousse itself, which is 1.7 fluid ounces of product that then foams up with this foam dispenser here. You get two different tools to press your powders, one of which is square, basically in case you have a square or rectangular pan. It's not the size of a pan, but it helps you get into those corners if it's square, or a circular pan. This side is massive. I kind of wish they'd given you something in between the small circle and the large circle. Maybe something that fit into a more traditional eyeshadow pan, because as it stands, it's either too small or too big, but still very functional and, you know, does its job as a circle will in a circular pan. And then you also get a stick, which helps with crushing those eyeshadows up, whether it's in the pan or if, like me, you're actually mixing things outside of a pan, crushing it up, and then putting it back into a separate pan. This tool is really great for that. It is 15 bucks for all that, which I don't think is too bad. You're not going to be using this a ton, and so to the extent that you need it unless you have a catastrophic powder or palette break, but unless something like that happens, I can't see you needing to use all of this in one or even a handful of goes, right? This is going to last you for quite a long time. 15 bucks seems okay to me. The shipping process was great. It shipped in a timely, no red flags. I don't remember the exact timing in terms of when it shipped after I ordered, how long it took to get here. It was fast is what I know, and I love some fast shipping. So I feel like I would have noticed if there were any hiccups there. Shipping was great. The formula here is pretty basic. The first ingredient is witch hazel, which I think you can definitely smell. I love the smell of witch hazel, but it's definitely a prominent scent in here. But it totally goes away once your eyeshadow dries, at least that I've noticed. It also has some conditioners in there though, like coconut oil, jojoba, vitamin E, which I personally think helps condition the powder to avoid getting that hard pan that I mentioned. Just using alcohol alone can give your powders. And to use it, what they say you should do is to fully crush up your product. If it's not already totally destroyed, crush up your product, get it all back into the pan, use one of the pressers to press it back into place so it's nice and even on top, and then shake your Moon Mousse up so all the ingredients are nice, evenly distributed in there, and press it across the top of your shadow. It's pretty easy. They just want you to cover the whole surface area. Gets absorbed really quickly into the product. Like it disappears. It melts into your product, which is kind of cool. But if you have a larger pan, it can then be harder to see where exactly you've already applied it. I don't think it's that big of a deal. You can kind of tell where there has and hasn't been foams, but to the extent that you have just a teeny tiny little, you know, section on your pan that hasn't absorbed foam, you can visibly tell. And I just put a little pump on there, and even if it's too big, I haven't noticed any issues with oversaturating the powder. There, you let it sit out in the open. If it's a palette, you leave it open. If it's a single pan like I have, you just leave it out in the open overnight, and from there you give it one last press in and you're good to go. So here, the first shadow I did this was the frankenshadow I created with the Kristen Leanne palette, and I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking is the truth. Did it right before our move, so like literally the night before the move, I am pressing this into a pan, letting it sit overnight, and I popped it into a palette to put into a box to move, and just really hoped it would stay in one piece. And it totally did, stayed in one piece throughout the move. I will say after a couple of uses, like between both me swatching it right away afterwards, using it on my eyes a couple times, it did crumble a little bit. I think that's due to me not doing the second press the first time I used this, obviously. I didn't do that last press, which I think really solidifies everything in place. And so that is why I think this crumbled a little bit. But besides that, I have been pretty pleased with the results. Just in general, I really like the texture, especially with Urban Decay shadows, or at least those in the Kristen Leanne palette. They were super soft and buttery, and so it was nice that this retained that same texture. Like as I run my finger in it or I'm using it with a brush, it still keeps that same buttery smooth soft texture and not that hard pan like I mentioned earlier. So at least the formula anyway. The one thing I will talk about though is that with the bottle's kind of a mess. I don't know if there's something wrong with my foam sprayer, but it kind of leaks all over the place. It didn't the first time I used it, but as I've been using it more and more, I think you'll even see in as I'm pressing the shadow that I show you here, which is the Wet n Wild Comfort Zone eyeshadow, by the way, it just kind of like goes everywhere. And as I open it, I don't know if you can see the water coming out, the lid is soaked. I don't know what's leaking in here. If it's maybe because I'm holding it on its side and you should hold your shadow up top. I don't think so, but it's kind of a hot mess. It's just going everywhere. And I'm sure I'm losing product because of it, but yeah, I'm not totally sure on that, but I don't want to remove the top because I think it needs to be that light foam texture in order to saturate your product just right. But overall, pretty good things to say about Moon Mousse. It is an easy process. You get to skip the step of like making that powder paste with your alcohol, kind of making sure everything's thoroughly mixed with alcohol. Like I said, I think you're going to be less inclined to get hard pan with this just because it has those moisturizing or hydrating ingredients in there, and it was also pretty quick to dry. So between all of that, I really like this. I encourage you, if you have some shattered pans that you need to revive, check this out. Or if you are into the frankenshadow mixing like I am, this is it's another good tool for that too. So that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already and hit that bell, because some of you have been telling me you haven't seen my videos in your subscription feed, so hit the bell. Maybe that'll work. I don't know. We'll see. Do it. And let me know in the comments what you want to see reviewed next. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye, guys.